A photo, grainy and cracked at the edges, shows a group of German soldiers gathered around a burning tank. Flames engulf the turret, the steel melting in the fiery glow. The caption simply reads, "Tiger Tank, Kursk, July 1943. Nearby, a shattered radio intercept lies ignored, its last message incomplete. Something about a new American weapon. The irony is stark. The mightiest armored beast of the Wehrmacht, feared across battlefields, reduced to a blazing wreck by a single infantryman's weapon. How could a man on foot bring down a tiger where entire battalions failed? Why did German command dismiss the threat until it was too late? The laughing contempt for the bazooka was profound, until the ground itself burned beneath their feet. In early 1942, as the war tightened its grip, American engineers pushed to develop a man-portable anti-tank weapon. The bazooka, officially the M1 rocket launcher, was born from desperation and ingenuity. Its creators envisaged a lightweight rocket launcher that could pierce armor where traditional infantry rifles could not. The first prototypes were crude, wooden frames, rudimentary sights, and a rocket barely stable in flight. Yet the promise was vast. A soldier could carry the firepower of artillery in his hands. Meanwhile, German officers scoffed at the weapon's toy-like appearance. The reports filtered through intelligence channels described it as a harmless nuisance, a mere annoyance to their heavily armored Tigers and Panthers. What did the American infantry see that their own commanders refused to believe? Was this underestimation a fatal flaw, born of arrogance or ignorance? The bazooka's design was deceptively simple. A 2.36-inch, 60mm rocket propelled by a solid fuel motor, capable of penetrating roughly 3 inches of armor. Its effective range rarely exceeded 150 meters, forcing soldiers into lethal proximity with enemy tanks. Early models were plagued by backblast and unreliable ignition, often betraying their operators with a telltale smoke trail. Yet the penetrative power against thin-skinned vehicles and lightly armored tanks was undeniable. The real question was how this weapon could affect the heavily armored Tiger I, with its 100mm frontal armor and sloped turret. German tank crews considered their vehicles nearly invincible to infantry weapons. Did the American engineers underestimate the psychological impact? Or was there something more to the bazooka's destructive capacity that flew under the radar? Could a simple rocket launcher really ignite the pride of German armor? The first documented encounter occurred in late 1943 near the Anzio beachhead. A U.S. infantry squad armed with bazookas attempted to halt a German armored counterattack. Expectation was minimal. Commanders anticipated only minor disruption. Instead, a single bazooka round struck the fuel storage of a Tiger tank, igniting a catastrophic blaze that rendered the vehicle combat ineffective. German eyewitnesses recalled the shock, the roaring fire spreading like wildfire, tank crews abandoning their machines in panic. This moment shattered the myth of the Tiger's invulnerability. Yet official reports from German headquarters dismissed these incidents as isolated misfortunes. Why did the higher command refuse to acknowledge the bazooka as a genuine threat? Was this denial a strategic blunder or a symptom of deeper intelligence failures? In response, German engineers and tacticians scrambled to develop countermeasures. Field manuals were updated to instruct crews on minimizing exposure to infantry with rocket launchers, smoke screens, tighter formations, and the deployment of infantry support tanks. Modifications to fuel lines and ammunition storage aimed to reduce the risk of catastrophic fires. Yet these measures were reactive and piecemeal. The laughter at the bazooka persisted in official communiques, even as after-action reports detailed mounting losses. How did the Wehrmacht's institutional rigidity prevent swift adaptation? Were commanders blinded by overconfidence in their armored supremacy, or was there a breakdown in communication between frontline units and strategic planners? By the summer of 1944, the scale of the threat was undeniable. Bazooka teams, now better trained and coordinated, became a staple of American infantry tactics. German Tiger units, once symbols of invincibility, found themselves vulnerable in urban and forested environments where infantry could approach undetected. Maps from the period show increased deployment of anti-infantry armor and revised patrol protocols focused on rapid suppression of bazooka teams. Resource constraints slowed large-scale armor redesigns, leaving crews to rely on tactics over technology. The growing fear spread quietly through the ranks. Was this the beginning of the end for German armored dominance? And if a single infantryman's weapon could ignite a Tiger, what did this mean for the future of tank warfare itself? Each episode is a document I pull from the dust of the archives. Share your own stories. Many of you have relatives who lived through that time, and your words help connect personal memory with archival evidence. Stay curious. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode tomorrow. Behind the flicker of those first burning Tigers lay a slow-burning crisis within the German armored divisions. Tank crews, once brimming with confidence, began whispering reports of unseen threats, flashes of rocket fire from concealed infantry, sudden explosions that turned steel giants into fiery tombs. A classified report from a squadron commander dated September 1944 describes a night ambush near the Ardennes, where bazooka teams pinned down an entire Tiger platoon, forcing a costly retreat. The psychological impact was as devastating as the physical damage. Fear seeped into the armor, eroding the myth of invulnerability. But what remained hidden was how deeply this fear rippled through command structures. Were these incidents isolated failures, or symptoms of a systemic vulnerability that intelligence officers failed to grasp? Captured equipment and battlefield salvage revealed more than just the bazooka's raw destructive power. Technical notes from German engineers, painstakingly translated, show frantic attempts to understand the rocket's propulsion and warhead composition. The shaped charge warhead, designed to focus explosive energy into a narrow jet, was, unlike conventional shells, it could penetrate armor from angles previously thought safe. A faded blueprint from a field workshop illustrates hurried modifications to Tiger fuel tanks, adding armored casings, rerouting lines. But these were stopgap measures. The real question was why such a straightforward vulnerability had gone unaddressed for so long. Had German tank design prioritized offensive firepower over defensive resilience? Or was the rapid evolution of infantry anti-tank weapons simply outpacing their engineering cycles? Meanwhile, American infantrymen who wielded the bazooka developed tactics that exploited the weapon's strengths and mitigated its weaknesses. Training films from 1944 show soldiers emphasizing stealthy approaches, use of terrain for concealment, and coordinated fire to overwhelm even the most heavily armored tanks. Radio transcripts reveal urgent requests for bazooka teams during urban assaults, where their ability to quickly disable tanks could turn the tide. Yet, these successes were shadowed by high casualty rates. Approaching within 100 meters of a Tiger was a gamble with death. How did these men reconcile their vulnerability with the immense power they held? And why did German tank commanders continue to underestimate the threat, even as reports of bazooka effectiveness multiplied? The strategic implications extended beyond the battlefield. Intelligence briefs from the German High Command in late 1944 documented rising concerns about infantry, anti-tank weapons, but were bogged down by conflicting priorities. Resources were diverted to countering Allied air superiority and replenishing lost manpower. The bazooka's psychological effect, undermining the aura of armored invincibility, was perhaps more damaging than its physical impact. Maps of frontline deployments reveal a cautious pullback of Tiger units from exposed positions, signaling a tacit acknowledgement of their vulnerability. Still, official communiques maintained an optimistic tone, portraying losses as temporary setbacks. Was this a deliberate deception to maintain morale, or a dangerous underestimation that sealed the fate of German armor? As winter tightened its grip on the European front, the relentless pressure of combined arms warfare exposed the limits of the Tiger's legend. Infantry equipped with bazookas, supported by artillery and airstrikes, chipped away at German armored formations. Field diaries recount desperate attempts to innovate. Ad hoc armor, plating, revised crew drills, even experimental infrared scopes. But these arrived too late to stem the tide. In some sectors, entire Tiger battalions were decimated by coordinated infantry assaults, their smoldering hulks a grim testament to the changing face of war. What lessons did this bitter experience impart to post-war tank doctrine? And how did the bazooka's humble design reshape the balance between infantry and armor in future conflicts? The story of the bazooka and the burning Tigers is not just a tale of weapons and tactics. It is a chronicle of hubris, adaptation, and the unpredictable nature of warfare. Each photograph, Each intercepted message, each faded blueprint, peels back layers of myth to reveal a battlefield where technology and human courage collided in unexpected ways. The laughter that once greeted the bazooka's arrival was silenced by flames licking the steel of the Wehrmacht's pride. What other secrets linger in those charred remains, waiting to be uncovered? How? Many more truths lie hidden beneath the ash of forgotten battles. Amid the chaos of late 1944, a series of intercepted German communications offers a rare glimpse into the evolving mindset of the Wehrmacht. One broken radio transcript, recovered from a downed command vehicle, reveals frantic orders. Increase perimeter security. Bazooka teams detected east of the railway. Do not underestimate infantry firepower. The harsh crackle of static punctuates the urgency. These orders mark a stark departure from earlier dismissals. Yet, the documentation is fragmented. Was this a localized panic or an emerging strategic shift? Why did such critical warnings arrive so late? And why were they so poorly coordinated with frontline units? The fragmented nature of these transmissions hints at deeper fractures in German command and control during the war's final phase. In parallel, field reports from American bazooka operators describe a growing confidence born from hard-learned experience. 1. Soldier's journal, smudged with dirt and blood, narrates multiple encounters where a single well-placed rocket halted the advance of a Tiger tank column. The journal's margins are filled with sketches, terrain layouts, enemy positions, firing angles, revealing a soldier's eye for tactical innovation. These personal accounts, often overshadowed by grand strategic narratives, expose the intimate and brutal nature of anti-tank warfare. What drove these infantrymen to face near-certain death with such resolve? And how did their successes ripple through the ranks of both sides, transforming battlefield psychology? Meanwhile, German attempts at technological countermeasures took a desperate turn. Documents from a secret engineering bureau detail experimental armor coatings and internal fire suppression systems designed to prevent fuel ignition. Prototype schematics show bulky add-ons that compromise the Tiger's mobility and firepower. A faded photograph captures a test vehicle, its turret, marked with hastily painted numbers, surrounded by anxious engineers. Yet these innovations came too late and too few. Resource scarcity and Allied bombing raids crippled production lines. Was the failure to adapt a result of industrial limitations, or did ideological rigidity impede innovation? Could a more flexible approach have prolonged the Tiger's dominance, or was its downfall inevitable? The psychological warfare waged by bazooka teams extended beyond physical destruction. German propaganda leaflets, captured and analyzed by Allied intelligence, reveal an attempt to discredit the weapon as unreliable and primitive. These leaflets, scattered over front lines, featured caricatures mocking the bazooka's childish appearance. However, the steady stream of burning Tigers contradicted the narrative. How effective could propaganda be when reality burned so visibly on the battlefield? Did the persistent denial within German ranks contribute to a dangerous underestimation of the infantry threat? And what does this reveal about the broader challenges of wartime information control? As the Allies pushed deeper into German-held territory, combined arms tactics integrating bazooka teams became standard. After-action maps from late 1944 show detailed coordination between infantry, armor, and artillery units, exploiting the bazooka's mobility and firepower. In dense forests and ruined cities, bazooka operators stalked Tigers, targeting vulnerable points with deadly precision. German tank commanders reported increasing difficulty in maneuvering without exposing weak spots to infantry ambush. Yet, the cost was steep. Many bazooka teams were lost in close engagements. How did this interplay between risk and reward shape the infantry's role in mechanized warfare? And how did these brutal lessons influence post-war military doctrines around tank infantry cooperation? The slow unraveling of German armored supremacy under the shadow of the bazooka was more than a tactical evolution. It was a fundamental shift in the nature of warfare. Each destroyed Tiger tank, each shattered radio message, each burned-out battlefield silently testified to the power of innovation meeting human determination. The weapon, once mocked as a mere nuisance, had become a symbol of the infantry's reclamation of power, against the steel giants. Behind every flame that engulfed a tiger lay a story of adaptation, desperation, and the relentless will to survive. What other overlooked weapons shaped the fate of armored warfare? And how do their stories challenge our understanding of technological supremacy on the battlefield? In the smoldering ruins of a once mighty Tiger battalion, a post-battle report details the final toll. Dozens of tanks lost, many to fires sparked by bazooka hits. The report's tone is clinical, almost detached, yet the margins bear notes of frustration. Unexpected vulnerabilities, infantry capabilities underestimated, urgent need for revised tactics. Faded map pinned to the page shows the shifting front lines of late 1944, marked with zones where bazooka teams were most active. These pockets of resistance, small yet lethal, punctured the armored shield that Germany had relied upon. What remains hidden beneath these lines of ink is the human cost. The crews trapped inside burning steel, the infantrymen risking everything to bring down a legend. Was this the final unraveling of the Tiger's myth, or simply the beginning of a new era in armored warfare?